All right, it looks like we are live, and I am so excited tonight. Casey and I have been counting down to talk to Russell Williams, and so I'm going to go ahead and do quick introductions. My name's Brittany Brainstorm. If you don't know me, I am the owner of the creative agency Brainstorm Boutique, and Casey Manise is my sister and partner in crime. She is also a designer and a social media performance coach, but it's not about us tonight. We are here with Russell Williams, who is absolutely incredible. If you're local to Southern Illinois, you most likely know who he is. He helps people learn, grow, and become better leaders through teaching, coaching, and mentoring. Russell is a John Maxwell Team certified coach, trainer, and speaker on leadership and professional development. He's also the founding director of EThOs, which I cannot wait for him to talk about. That'll be at the end, and which is an emerging project to attract and support innovative thinking and working in the heart of Southern Illinois. So, Russell, I gave your brief bio, but I want you to expand more on who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am a local guy from Southern Illinois, but training and career and job took me away for a while, and I came back. Gosh, it's been a while now, since 2003. But since I've been back, and this is how I've met you, I taught at John A. Logan College.
Yes.
You and your older sister. And of course, I know Casey when I was foundation director at Brim Preparatory School in Carbondale, and she was on staff there for a while. And so, Casey, do you have any good tips for me for on-camera tips? I wanted to ask you earlier, but I didn't get a chance.
You look great. You're doing a great job.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that support. But no, it's a thrill to be on the Brainstorm broadcast tonight. And so, I look back at my life, and I sum it up by I've been in people development. When I was a youth pastor for 15 years and working to develop disciples with our teenagers, and then I taught school, so I was developing minds and lives through education, and then foundation director, got into fundraising and was developing dollars for great nonprofits, and I still do a little bit of all of that, but today, call myself a coach. Doing leadership and life development and helping people develop, helping people grow. And so I'm excited about growing myself. I figure I've come a long way. And now it's time for me to, pour into somebody else's life and to help them. And that gets me excited. I've enjoyed that so much here in this region. And as you mentioned, I'm a John Maxwell coach. A lot of people know about John Maxwell, still some do not, but he is one of our prolific writers and teachers on the topic of leadership. He's internationally known now, New York Times bestselling author. I think the 21 Laws of Leadership is probably his most popular book. He's a person that I had followed for a long time, and then finally, just said, I want to be that. I want to learn from the best. And so I enrolled myself in what's called the John Maxwell Team. And it's an international group of coaches and teachers and speakers, and primarily about leadership. And so I brought that back to Southern Illinois back in 2014 and started coaching and started training on the topics of leadership, and started something new. I don't think it existed before, but it started what's called a mastermind. And so mastermind groups is simply peer-to-peer learning. And it's where you bring circle of friends together. My masterminds focus on books, so we usually read a personal growth or leadership book together. But the purpose of it is to learn from each other, is that, iron sharpens iron, and that you just get better if you open up your perspective to other people's opinions and their experience, their life. And so we try to apply some of these leadership or personal growth principles, but we learn from each other mainly.
I love that. That's something that I try to do in just my everyday life, but it's so nice that there's an actual formal organization of people. So when did you decide to get into that? Around what year did you decide to do that?
Well, I had always been in leadership positions ever since I had been, called in the church to be a youth pastor. But I don't think I consider myself as being that strong of a leader. but I mean, I kept on being called into different leadership positions, and again in education and in nonprofit work. And I finally decided that maybe that was the core of what I should be doing, is that I should focus just on the leadership and helping people grow. And I love leadership because I've needed it so much in my life. You know, the hardest person to lead is yourself. And so I resisted that a long time. And once I found out that the key to growth is investing in yourself, you know, and trying to learn things that you've not learned before, and really getting out of your comfort zone. You know, being able to stretch and learn from others and learn from different programs and opportunities. Once I understood that and I bought into it, then I really wanted to help other people learn the same thing. And that's where it came from.
Wow, that's awesome. I think a lot of times, especially like if you go to college or, you know, whatever, you know, if you go straight from school into the workforce and stuff like that, it's like you do your job and then sometimes it feels like that's it.
Yeah.
And so to hear that, especially here in Southern Illinois, that there's someone who's passionate about learning beyond where you are to continue going to who knows where.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very inspiring. One of the things I was going to ask you is like, what do you do exactly, like as a coach and a trainer and a speaker? Because you know, you talked to that kind of a little higher level, but if you know, if someone like me wanted to reach out to you and work with you, what does that look like?
Yeah, so each one of those is a unique role. They take different skill sets. And so I'll start with coaching. So coaching for me is really trying to bring out the best in somebody else, is finding out where they want to go and what is holding them back from getting there. And then through the process of asking them the right questions at the right time, and bringing out some of the fears that people have, some of the obstacles and roadblocks that we all have, and trying to figure out what's the game plan, what can help them, that uniquely would help them overcome those obstacles, overcome those fears. And, you know, I've always found that, you know, to do that by yourself, almost impossible. It takes others. It takes a mirror to let you see yourself. We don't see ourselves very well. And to be able to reflect off of somebody else, and for that person to hold them accountable too. And so part of coaching is accountability. And that's getting outside people's comfort zones a little bit, but we just don't grow inside our comfort zone. So a coach is really there. It's different than being a mentor, and it's different than being a teacher or a speaker for people, or even a facilitator of a group. But a coach is really there to hone in and focus on those particulars that people need to discover about themselves in order to move to the next level.
So, for example, like, what would you specifically coach somebody on? Like, what's like an example situation that someone can just be like, I got to have Russ to coach me through this?
Yeah. So been a variety of people of different backgrounds, but we'll take an entrepreneur, for example, because I know a lot of your listeners are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs come with their own skill set and their own mindset, but they still have things that can be roadblocks for them. It might be resources that they may think that, you know, they just don't have the right resources in order to start a business or scale up their business. And so being able to talk to somebody else about that, and for somebody to really dig into what is your thoughts on resources? Where do those come from? Do they come from your parents? Do they come from, you know, your first attempts to have a job? Did it come from working for an entrepreneur that just was not a good model? Where does your mindset come from? You know, and so to be able to find out what exactly are the outcomes that person wants, because entrepreneurs say, well, I want to make money. I want to work for myself. Okay, but what's the long-term outcomes?
Yeah.
Where do you want to see this? What's your legacy as an entrepreneur? What's your legacy as a provider for your family? Or what's your legacy as a leader in the community? What do you want the outcome to be? Okay, now that we understand that, let's talk about what are the steps, one at a time. that leads to that outcome.
That's so cool, because everybody's is going to be so completely different. You
Yeah.
can't just take like an online course for that. It seems so personal.
Yeah, it really is. And then mastermind groups are a little bit different. So I always say that I facilitate mastermind groups. I don't necessarily coach and teach. There's some opportunities to do that, but mainly is to facilitate. So to be a good facilitator is to be a good listener, to be able to ask the right questions at the right time, but facilitate the discussion in the group and make sure that there's, I always say as a facilitator, I like to be good at opening the space and allowing people to have their space to be themselves. And so just as in coaching, masterminds takes a lot of trust. You've got to be able to trust everybody in the room. We always say it's like Las Vegas, what's spoken in mastermind stays, in mastermind. But unless you have that trust, you never really learn. You never really open up. And so to be a good facilitator is to set that space and set that environment so that people can learn.
That's so cool.
I think that's so beneficial, especially, I'll just say, like, from a entrepreneur, small business owner side of things, you're really working on your own and you don't have that group of people to go to and to for leadership and guidance specifically. Have you worked with small business owners or entrepreneurs, or is that something you want to do more of?
Yeah, I have. It seems like entrepreneurs and small business owners have been attracted to the coaching and the masterminds. But the masterminds, when I first started, I just opened up to anybody that would come, and they were free, right? Because I didn't know if I did anything great with that. I wanted to get good first.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I found that there was a lot of value to this, and people were reporting back that that it was really, masterminds are really helping people. So I was like, this could be a business opportunity,
Yeah.
So I was also thinking about the entrepreneurship side of being, in mastermind. But, unless we invest something, if we've got, something in the game, we don't really take it serious. And so I found that until there was some type of charge to that mastermind, to be a member of a mastermind, then people didn't really take the value, how high the value was for that. And so, I wanted to, once I started, it really blossomed. I was running as many as 4 mastermind groups in 1 week. Carbondale, Carterville, and a couple in Marion. And so a lot of people that do masterminds do it online too. And so I've done some online masterminding and online coaching too. So it's not regional or locality, based. It could be, coaching and training wherever you are. Of course, COVID has opened that door.
Yes. Well, here we are having our get-together conversation virtually. So yes, that opportunity is there. And I just want to say, I think what you're doing is fantastic in that regard, because not only can you guide people, but you have the experience and the work history to back it up in the life experience. And I think that says a lot. And I know from when I was in your class, you're someone who I always admired and looked up to. And I wish I would have been a part of your masterminds, when I was in my 20s. But, that's one of those things that you learn as you get older, that you do have to surround yourself with minds that challenge you and to grow. And so, speaking on the mindset part of things, I really want to talk about the abundant mindset, because I know that's very important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mindset is everything, no matter what you want to do. It starts in our thoughts. The saying is that our thoughts lead us in the direction that we want to go. And so if our thoughts are negative, then they lead us in negative outcomes. And if our thoughts are positive, they lead us into more positive outcomes. But one of the areas that I really think that a lot of people struggle with in their thoughts, and especially entrepreneurs, is that scarcity mindset. Is that, frankly, there's not that many resources, right? And so if you live in certain areas, and Southern Illinois is one of those areas, you can have the temptation to say, well, there's just so much money and there's just so much, resources. And so if I want to start a business, I don't know if I can get the customers. I don't know if I can get the clients, because there's just so many. And so, I mean, in your case, Brittany, you know, marketing, right? You could say to yourself with a scarcity mindset, yeah, but there's a lot of other good marketers out there. There's other people that are doing things, you know, web development and online, you know, consulting and things like that. And so there's a scarcity mindset. It's saying that there's one pie and someone else has taken a large piece of the pie. So what's left over, right, is kind of a small piece. So why do I want to be in? I can't make a living off that, right? And so that's a scarcity mindset, and we have a lot of that. It's not depending on where we grew up, or you know, but it's true across the board. Abundant mindset is, of course, different than that. It's not necessarily measuring the details of, you know, what money or resources is, but it's to say there's another way to think about this, that we can look at, maybe there is plenty, that you know, we do see pop up businesses around us, and we say, well, they've done well, so maybe there's an opportunity. So what can I do? Maybe there is enough clients. Maybe people just like what I do in particular. You know, that I've got the gifts and I've got the skill set and I've got the experiences and I've got the knowledge to do something that no one else has done before. And maybe that meets somebody's needs in a unique way. And maybe I can start a business off that, you know, instead of saying, no, I can't do this because there's not enough resources, or I'm not enough, you know, I'm not worthy to do it. Instead, abundant mindset says, well, I can learn it. You know, if I don't know how to do it, there's plenty of classes, there's plenty of coaches, there's people like Brittany and that can
and people like Russ.
Yeah, that can teach me how to do it, you know? And so really, you know, online sales, digital technology, there's great opportunities. And so abundant mindset says that, you know, instead of storing things, and that's what scarcity mindset does, is that we, you know, we have limited resources, so we hold on to them, right? Abundant mindset's the opposite. It says that I want to pour through to people instead of store up things for myself. And so, that's a real key to people that want to be successful, people that want to get out of whatever funk they might be in, because a lot of us are stuck. A lot of us are stuck maybe in the jobs that we're in, and we can't think, you know, that we can do better than that particular job. Some people are stuck in family situations that they think things will never change. You know, it's like, I can either get out of this family or things are just remain the same. And then some people are just stuck with, you know, their dreams, is that they have always envisioned something, and that they just don't know where to go with it because they don't think they have what it takes. No one's told them that they're worthy, that they've got great values, they've got great strengths, they've got great experiences, and that's more of an abundant mindset. And you know what?
I love that. I'm going to say real quick, we got a couple comments coming in. Melanie Beckett says, wow, excellent motivation. And thank you for that. And then Nina Wilson, who is an amazing brand photographer in Southern Illinois, says, you all got me feeling inspired. And yay, that's exactly what we want.
That's great.
So thank you for commenting, everyone. So anyway, didn't mean to cut you off there, but I wanted you to see that people were watching and saying positive things.
Very much. But, well, let me give you, or if we have time, let me give you,
absolutely.
You know, because it's one thing to inspire, it's another thing to learn how to do something, right?
Yes.
So if, you know, I grew up with a scarcity mindset, you know, I grew up with parents that had been born and raised during the Great Depression, you know, the 1930s. So guess what they learned in life? They learned to save, right? Yeah. That whatever they had, and of course they didn't have, in their terms, much, but they saved it, right?
Yeah.
And so they taught us kids in the family to save. But guess what message? Guess what lie I heard? That is that we didn't have money. We never were going to have money. And so therefore you better not spend any money. We're not one of those families with money. So those are, you know, that wasn't the message that my parents were trying to teach us. They were trying to teach us to save. Right? That in the end, that was really going to help, you know, build a successful life. But what I heard was, we're never going to have enough, and we need to hold on to what we have, and that you're not really going to be, you know, there's not going to be abundance. And so you have to change that lie in your life, is that we are deceived by our thoughts, and that we get these, and most of it is not because we created those things, but they're messages that have been put in our mind, and they're not true. But then we perpetuated it in that we thought it over and over and over again. And one thing that we're learning as recent, with cognitive behavioral psychology, is that if we tend to think the same thing over and over again, it creates a pathway. There's those neural pathways in our minds, right? And when we think negative thoughts, then we're creating a pathway, right? It's like you're going out of your house and you walk that path to your mailbox, and you walk it across your yard, and you do that 100 times. What happens? You create a path in your yard, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to walk down that path. So every time you think about, a challenge or an opportunity, all of a sudden you're on that path, right? Because it's so easy to be on that path. Now, to change that, what we have to do is, first of all, name the thought. You don't change anything until you can name what that is that's challenging you. So what is that thought? And I would just start with one. Try to find, what is that thought that is holding you back? What is making you think that there's not enough? Either you're not enough, or you're never going to have enough. And then the second step is, once you've named what that one thought is to go on the offense. Don't go on the defense anymore. Switch it and attack that thought. Hold that thought captive and say, I don't have to think about that anymore, because there is alternatives. In your case, again, Brittany, you can say, well, my thought is that my business isn't going to work because there's too much competition, right?
Yeah.
But to say that, well, that's the thought that I need to hold captive. That's the thought that I need to switch. And instead of walking down that same path again, I need to switch paths. I need to walk on down another path. And what happens is that in your yard there, if you stop walking that path to the mailbox, what happens? The grass starts growing. Yeah. There's some resistance there, right? It's not as easy to walk down that path. And you've got to switch and walk down a new path simply by changing your thought to what is possible. You can, for instance, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love it. I love it so much because, okay, we actually got another comment. So I want to recognize this real quick. Leslie, she's amazing. She has like the best business, does the coolest rituals and massage therapy and all that great stuff. And I'm probably not giving her justice for all the cool stuff that Leslie does. But she says, hi, Russ, you're the best. Let go of my fears. I miss our mastermind lunches.
Yeah, so, thank you.
Leslie, then you know how amazing
I
she
do.
is.
Leslie's a mastermind, no doubt about it. Just a great business. Yeah.
Well, that's a testimony then to your masterminds, if you have people like Leslie in there and how much she loved it. But anyway, so I didn't mean to interrupt you on that, but I want to make sure we're getting some of these comments up here.
Not at all. I mean, it's people like Leslie being in the room with the rest of us who allows us to think differently. I mean, to be honest with you, Leslie is different than me, right? I'm different than her, and everybody else in the room has a different perspective. We've got a different experience. It's only when we share those things that we start. And I think that's a problem in our culture. I know it's a problem in our culture, is that we tend to want to be around people that think like us.
Yeah.
Right. And so we believe that our beliefs are only stronger because we won't change them. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a real sticking point. There's no opportunity for growth there. There's no opportunity for you to become more than what you are.
Wow.
And so being able to think otherwise and not make decisions immediately, but just to listen and to allow other people to speak into your life, and then consider use your brain, consider for yourself what's your own path. And so, Masterminds is a great resource. And I think in our culture today, it's really needed.
It really is. And actually, Sonia Miller, she owns Luna Silk Beauty. She has the coolest with the best. I'm going to just give shout outs and people comment. She has like the best beauty and soap line. It's amazing. And she commented so true. And Sonia, thank you so much for watching with us tonight. That really means a lot. But Russell, I absolutely agree with you. You know, Casey and I, we went to school in a very small town in Southern Illinois, and, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of differences in that town. And actually, I always credit your class because you taught sociology at John A. And there were so many different perspectives through sociology that, you know, opened my world up even more than going to SIU and all of that. But I feel like it wasn't until the pandemic hit that really challenged me to really think about, who am I surrounding myself with? What kind of thoughts am I bringing into my daily life?
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, to me, like, I've been on this journey. So having this conversation's been amazing because I didn't have anyone guiding that for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing that you can take these things that you've experienced and learned and teach that to your clients and what you do for them.
Yeah, I mean, well, no doubt the pandemic has affected us all in different ways, right? And so last year in March, I lost my job. I was working for a healthcare corporation at multiple hospitals doing coaching and training. I thought it was a dream job at the time because I was allowed to do leadership training within the organization with leaders and managers, and also build my own business outside the organization at the same time. But the pandemic hit, healthcare changed, and at my age, I say I was discontinued. You know, they started cutting back positions, and my position was one that was cut. So in terms of mindset, I could go back to that scarcity mindset and say, you know, I was cut because I'm not really good at what I do. You know, I didn't really have what I thought I had, and maybe I won't get another job like that someday. And there's just not that many opportunities out there. That's a scarcity mindset, and I think all of us through the pandemic have, not all of us, but some of us have thought about those, you know, life in those terms, and that's really a path to destruction. That we really need to change those thoughts and be more abundant in mind. Because the pandemic also opened up opportunities for people, and we just spoke about one of those of taking things online, reaching people in places that we never thought we could reach people before with what we have with our teaching and training.
Did we lose Russell? I think we might have lost him, but while we wait for him to come back, we'll just talk a little bit because we've had time to talk with him. But
I think he's coming back.
I think he's back. Okay, there he is. We lost you.
Yeah, of course. When I was talking about the greatness of the World Wide Web, and
hey, this is just life. It's okay. I was the whole time I've been saying it's 2020, but now I'm going, it's 2021. You know?
Yeah. So Casey, teach me, what do I do in situations like that?
Just laugh and keep going.
Okay, good. That's what
every time.
That's good.
Yes, but I want to say from my own personal experience, because, you know, talk about, I could have a scarcity mindset thinking about, why do my business? Why do this? There's so many others out there. And it's true. Whenever I've had this idea for my business for a long time, and I've been doing this work for a decade, but for other people and more behind the scenes and quiet, and never put myself out there. And during the pandemic, I was like, what really brings me joy? Because this time we need all the joy we can get. And I thought, well, I will start my Brainstorm boutique business. I'm Brittany Brainstorm. What am I waiting for? And I launched it. And Russ, I'll tell you, in the first week of launching it, and I do not know how, other than, you know, giving God the praise and glory, but I got my first client out of Brooklyn, New York. I got a client out of Texas and one out of Arizona. And it was people far from me before I started reaching the people close to me. And It was absolutely like mind blowing. I thought I'd just do some things for fun. I was like, oh, it'll take a year. And like the first month, I was so booked out. And like even now, Casey's like always telling me, okay, hang on. You know, she's my project manager. And like, okay, Brittany, you can't say yes to everybody. We got to
Yeah.
plan this out appropriately. But
Yeah, that's
then
awesome.
I realized that I was attracting people who were the same mindset as me,
Yeah.
where they wanted to do what they were passionate and joyous about.
Yeah.
And that just makes life even more exciting. So, you know, before we lost you there for a minute, I know you were talking about, you know, if you could have, you know, you could have gone through that path of a scarcity mindset and that sort of thing. So I do want to ask you, because you have experienced this during a very critical time, how were you able to reframe your mind with these challenges during the pandemic?
Well, I think by going into I've held a lot of jobs in my career. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've worked for 30 years now, and I described earlier all the different development jobs that I had. I think I finally discovered down the road that success is not necessarily your job title and your salary. And people need
Yes.
to understand that we've always measured success. Our culture has measured success by two things: your job title and your salary. Gosh,
Yep.
there's so much more to success than that.
I want to say amen there for a second. So
Yeah, I mean, there is.
Amen.
For instance, do you like what you're doing?
Yeah.
You know, are you using your strengths?
Mm.
Are you really fully engaged and loving what you're doing and using your strengths? And are you refreshed? You know, does it just drain you? Does your job drain you? Or do you get some energy from it? And I know we're going to get to the subject, but I took on a new position at the end of last year that
Yes.
I can't wait to get out of bed and come to that's why I'm here doing the video tonight, because this is kind of the mothership for me right now.
Okay, we had to go straight into it, but I'm so excited. I wanna add a disclaimer that Casey and I got to have a little tour, and it's just a very inspiring place and mission and all that. So I'm gonna let you go into it. But
yeah, so I think people are familiar with incubators and accelerators and those innovation centers that help businesses get started. I mean, Southern Illinois, Carbondale has probably the regional one here with the Small Business Development Center and the Dunn Richmond Center. But we've got a vision of doing that here in Marion, Illinois. And so I've been hired through what's the Watermark Foundation. And so that's Mayor Michael Absher from Marion, Illinois. And he's one of those abundant mind thinkers. And I think like attracts like, as you said earlier.
mm-hmm.
So him and I had been talking about everything from co-sharing workspace to incubation and accelerating, you know, developing small businesses in small rural Midwestern towns, and leadership development and how those things tie together. And he asked me if I would come partner with him on him purchasing a building through the Watermark Foundation. It's the Citadel building, which is on the Marion Tower Square in Marion, Illinois. You may not be familiar with Marion, but it's a small town in Southern Illinois, kind of a central location in Southern Illinois. And so this building had been started as a bank, had closed during the Great Depression, had become a hotel, had many professional offices here. It's a 5-story building. It's 107 years old, built in 1914, neoclassical design. And for the last 8 years on the first floor, it's had the Vault restaurant, which is kind of a breakfast, lunch.
My favorite.
Yeah. And so the second floor is developed into office spaces, but there is a third, fourth, fifth, and a rooftop opportunity to develop. Each floor is 4,000 square feet. So we are developing our vision right now. We've got a steering committee of people throughout Southern Illinois that's helping us with a consulting group to set that vision. So it's an emerging project that will come to fruition this year. And part of it is co-sharing office spaces, is that we see a vision of people collaborating on work together. So being allowed to be in office spaces with other companies, with other entrepreneurs, and then networking with people that are well-established business owners, being able to learn from them. Learn everything from finances and law and insurance and all those things that I think small business owners need to get started. And then the other part of that is the vision to really have an ecosystem that supports entrepreneurism, supports the small business development, and to bring people to Marion, maybe some that have already moved away.
Come back.
Bring them back to Marion and to throughout Southern Illinois, and support them in starting a new business, for-profit, nonprofit, and looking for those abundant mind thinkers and to develop those abundant mind thinkers, and not just giving them space to work in, but giving them some coaching, some leadership development, and networking access to the people that are know something about marketing and online business development and e-commerce, digital technology, and then all those professional services along with marketing, for instance, like insurance and law and things like that. So just building that rural development, that rural innovation center right here in this building. But even going further than building, as you said earlier, being able to record those courses or doing live Facebook streams like this, and then reaching people way beyond Marion, Illinois.
Yeah. I know Casey went with me. What did you think about that place?
I thought it was super cool. I thought it was really, really cool. I don't know how much I can say.
Yeah.
We didn't sign an NDA, but it was really, really cool. I really liked how every floor felt like it was being arranged a little differently.
Yeah.
So in that way, it could just kind of like snap to fit whatever you're thinking of doing, depending on, the size of space that you need. I know that places that I've worked, we had like 5 or 6 people who it really did make the most sense for us to all be in one room, because you'd have a designer right next to an engineer, next to, somebody who was doing a different part of it. And it really did make a lot of sense for us all to be in the same space. And it seemed like you guys had like spaces in mind to handle like bigger, more like cohab places, and then just like tiny offices for like, okay, it's just me right now. I don't have a team.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm recording what you're saying because we're setting the vision as we talk.
Yeah.
And but what we see already is making this so much different than anything else that exists, and making those spaces really fun and inspiring. And it's a great opportunity to do that right now, because I think on the other side of COVID, we do have people who have been working from home, which is difficult to do. But then they may not be ready to go into big places with a lot of people. And so the co-sharing allows you to maybe schedule space that is in between, in between the home and in between maybe your regular offices, and being able to, schedule conference rooms and schedule those outside the building so that you're here, when you need to use the space, and having it open 24/7. So that, I've heard something about entrepreneurs kind of work through the night when they need to. And so, to have that space and to have the coffee and the support, to do that. Each floor is going to be looking, different. And our vision for the upper floors is much bigger spaces, and maybe even do like community rooms, so that people can get, the training that they need. Kind of envision maybe a TEDx, here in Marion, or some type of, leadership regional training that might happen here for the community. And what the great part about it is that the vision is so generous. Is that we're not looking this to make a lot of money off of it. It's being started by a foundation, a nonprofit. We would like to capture some operational costs, but we're not going to be in competition with other people that might have office space or have conference space. We're not exactly wanting to do that same thing. we'd rather partner with the community, work with other businesses. And so, yeah, actually, since you guys took the tour and left, I think your name has come up several times in some real resources for the entrepreneurs and the small business people, because what you two do is needed for those emerging businesses.
Well, thank you for that. I love, first of all, one, I'm going to say a comment real quick. Sonia says, where do I sign up?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ready to sign up yet, but we will let you know. We will definitely let you know. I will say that I live in Marion, and it's literally like a walk from my house, where I live in such a cute little part of the old downtown Marion, and I get to walk up to Crown Brew and, go to Lavish Bath Box and places like that. And then to find out that you guys were doing this just a walk from my house it inspired me even more about my neighborhood and where I'm at. And I am so excited about it. So in whatever way I can be involved, I'm definitely going to be.
Yeah, and this is part of the downtown revitalization project that people are going to see big changes in the downtown area in the next 2 years. And so I think Marion's growing. I think Marion is pro-business. It has been for a long time. But I think there's a lot of new things that you'll see that is coming from the city and coming from the community and also coming from nonprofit organizations to support the community. So I'm excited about that because I've worked in nonprofits for such a long time, been very passionate about serving people, and this is a whole new gig for me. And I love how the leadership and coaching falls in, interweaves and provides that support for what we're going to do here.
Oh yeah, I'm just not just because you're on my life, but you're literally the perfect person to lead this initiative in Marion. And I think it's going to be a fantastic thing. We got a comment that came in, and one of the things we were talking about, like how things have changed because of the pandemic and, where new opportunities come up. Melanie said, my husband decided to try something new during the pandemic. Through online instruction, he became a voiceover actor. And then me and Casey have been helping him in his branding and marketing and his website. So, even knowing that someone who, Doug is like semi-retired, he never seems to retire. So when you think he's retired, he does something different. Yeah. And so he started, just learned voiceover acting, and it kind of reminds you of the whole abundant mindset as well. Yeah. That there's so many, you could think there's so many voice actors out there, but I know that he's already booked like 4 opportunities to read through Amazon.
He's done so many books at this point too. I mean,
already.
And he's taking Second City classes for the storytelling department there. It's just amazing.
So I want to make sure I acknowledge that comment, and that this is a time for people to really think outside the box. And I just want to say, as someone who grew up in Southern Illinois, who stayed in Southern Illinois, we have so much at our fingertips. Like it is incredible if we would just meet the right people and not be scared and just put ourselves out there and make those connections we need to connect with. Even your competition, like we're all neighbors and we're all community members. And if someone else's business is thriving, it is not hurting my business. Yeah. That's when that people want what you have if you're similar. So I always just want to encourage people. I have these conversations a lot now where I just want to encourage people, like, if you have a dream and maybe it's not time to leap over into that full time, or maybe it's something you do part-time, maybe it's a passion project, but you should do it. Like, try it.
Well, as the key is connecting with other people, right? Mm-hmm. So you're like me, you're a connector. I think that's right? Is that when we see someone's need, automatically it sparks in our brain. We get that dopamine, right? We get that fire up that, hey, we know somebody else that could help you, right? You need to talk to somebody else, right? And that's what this Innovation Center is going to be about too, is making those connections. I think we have great resources in Marion and the surrounding communities in Illinois. People just don't know. And people are fearful. And so I think by connecting people, and that includes funding too. Small businesses need some funding.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about you, but I watch Shark Tank
I
quite
love
often.
Shark Tank.
And so, yeah, there's some vision here of being able to, do something like a Shark Tank,
Wow.
so that there's a grant or there's some type of, funding cash award to scale up your business or to start something new that, let's try it. Let's try it.
Why not?
Do you have a projected date when you think that this is all going to be to where people can sign up and start using the building?
Yeah. So we have a consulting group that has worked throughout the Midwest doing similar projects. And so we're going to allow them to finish their work, and that'll be towards the end of March and the beginning of April. We do need to go after some funding in order to finish the building. So we have limited space here on the second floor. We've already had people asking for space, but we kind of want to, focus on our purpose and focus on our mission. And so we're going to be looking for funding, some of the federal and some state funding. It's actually a great time to do that. And go ahead and build out the rest of the building, one floor at a time, and even have something on the roof. I don't want to disclose what that might be yet, but something on the roof overlooking Marion, Illinois. And so so I think we're looking at later this year. We've got some infrastructure demands, like we have an elevator from 1914 that is going to be refitted and working again. And there'll be some other things like that will be, it's a 107-year-old building.
Yeah.
So we're going to update it, right? And still hold a lot of the historic value of the building. It's just a beautiful building. It's a pleasure to come here every day, but people get inspired, by that. And so, Casey, I think it's going to be later on this year, and probably more towards summer, before we have, in my mind, I think it'll be almost like a gym membership type of, commitment that people will partner with us, where you may not need all these services that we've been talking about. You may just need space to have a meeting, or you may just need space to come up and work. You might be in Carbondale, you might be in St. Louis, or you might be in Paducah, and you just need space to work. And so lowest form of membership would be allow you to come in and use those spaces. And then it would just tier up depending on what you need to the person that might be at home right now doing a home business and say, by the end of this year, by 2021, I envision having a storefront, or I envision having a business where I need an office. And for me to get from here to there, not quite sure exactly what I need, but I'm probably going to need that coaching. I'm probably going to need that training. I'm going to need that funding. I'm going to need all those things. And so we need to make sure that we've got that all planned out before we open up the building.
I love that. I'm excited.
I am too. I'm obsessed with it. So I just, now whenever I drive around the square, I'm like, oh, that's where all these cool things are going to be happening. There's going to be, I mean, I'm very biased to Marion. I've lived here for 7 years and I've absolutely loved it. I love living in the downtown side. I love, like I said earlier, just being able to walk to everywhere that I want to go, and, quick drive to anything else. But having that around here in our community is just going to enrich it even more. And I think there has been a huge transformation in the square from when I moved here, because I drive the square every day. That's how I get home. And seeing that transformation, it's really been the past couple of years. And I haven't met Mayor Absher, but I will definitely give him a lot of credit for all of that. I have seen it felt overnight, where suddenly I felt like I was driving in kind of a little quiet, like, part of town, to now it's like, wow, I see that this is coming back and it's really thriving. It's going to be the heartbeat of Marion, as it should be.
Yeah, I think it's just getting started too. I think actually we'll look back and say, wow, we thought that was something, but that was nothing compared to, I think, a couple of years down the road, you're going to see a lot of entertainment, a lot of culture, more diversity, more opportunities, and everything from those little quaint shops to, some restaurants and eating establishments that are really, really kind of destination locations, where
Yeah.
people drive far out of town in order. We all see that in Paducah and Evansville and, Cape Girardeau. And I think you're going to have quite a bit of that here, plus the entertainment and the cultural, attractions, not just for adults, but for children, for the whole family. I think that I've heard things. So
real quick, Christy Saylor says, this is so awesome. I'm so excited. And I just love like everyone's excitement for all the things we're talking about tonight. I wish I knew more of what you knew, but I know we'll learn along the way as things are revealed, and released to the public. So until then, I'll be driving around my little drive around the square and just be so proud of what's going on here, and really proud of the people that are here, because I think the people's what makes your community, and then it goes into your businesses, and then it goes from there. So knowing that we have good people doing great things, just a walk away from my house really brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in the meantime, until we've got, and by the way, the project's called EThOs.
So talk about that, what that means.
It's an acronym, and it's for Entrepreneurial and Technical Opportunities. So ethos is a word, it's a Greek word, it means character. And so today people use it to describe a business or to a personal ethos, and that would be your character or your values. And so that was a real important word for Mayor Absher and the Watermark Auto Company. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to use that. And I think it's a great descriptor of what we're going to provide here. But in the meantime, I'm going to be starting some mastermind groups here in the next month.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm going to try to do a combination of both online masterminds and some face-to-face masterminds as people feel comfortable. And the subject is what we talked about earlier, is your thoughts. Mm-hmm. And so the title of the mastermind is how to win the battles in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
How to win battles in your mind. And so it'll be if anybody's interested in that, they can contact me. Okay. Email is rwleadership@gmail.com, rwleadership@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook. And so Russell Williams, or my business page is Russell Williams Life and Leadership Development.
I'll go back and I'll tag that in the comments, and I'll put your email there so people they don't have to search too far to get a hold of you. So, is that going to be, you said it's going to be online and in person, or online for now and then go into person?
No, it'll be it'll be both. It'll be separate groups. It'll be an online group that uses the same type of core, teaching and as I said, those are based on discussion. And they'll be face-to-face, but also an online one there too. And so they usually last 8 weeks. So it's like an 8-week commitment, and that you would meet approximately an hour and 15 with a group. There's usually a dozen, kind of hold it off to just 12 being in the group. And so, and then there's coaching also. So I do coaching, both group coaching. I've got a couple statewide groups, and also individual coaching. And so if people are interested in anything that we've talked about today, they can look for me on Facebook.
That's so awesome. Cool. Melanie says, thank you for a peek into your vision. And then Hillary Holdenhausen says, I'm interested, Russell. And she has her hands raised up in there.
That's
so
awesome.
You guys need to definitely talk about that. We talked for quite a bit, and I'm so glad we did, because I feel like I could still go on forever. And I'm sure your wife and your kids probably want you back home with them after a long day. So thank you to them for letting us steal you for a while.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have anything else you want to add before we end our live session tonight?
Well, I just think what you two do is fantastic. I was very excited to be asked to be part of this, and I think I'm on the third or the fourth person, and so I feel pretty privileged in the broadcast. That's pretty exciting.
And you're the first boy.
Oh yeah, I forgot
We've
about
never had a boy.
Well,
The
I didn't
first.
think about that because that's where the scarcity mindset sets in a little bit. It makes me kind of nervous. So I've already learned that from you, Casey. Don't think about those
Yeah, don't think
things,
about it.
right?
Yeah.
And so no, I think what you two do is fantastic, and people should take advantage of your service.
Aw.
And so yeah, it's a privilege to do this. And maybe we can do something else, partnership and collaboration together. You guys do this so well, so I'm going to lean into your strengths.
Hey, we're here anytime. We're all about collaboration and working with other people, and I'm all about what can we do to make ourselves better, make our communities better, make our lives better, whether it's digitally, in person. All these things are so important. And I know Casey, she's always, she's the improv star. She's more, I know I kind of dominate the lives, bless her heart. She doesn't always get to say. I know she has a lot to say that I let start talking. But Casey, is there anything you want to say or ask Russell before we send him back home to his family before they get mad?
I just want another tour.
Oh
I
yeah.
wanna go back in there.
Yes.
As things start filling out, I want to see more
Yeah.
because it
Yes.
was like
And
it was
we'll-
really cool seeing it just
Yeah.
blank slate. I can't wait to see those upper floors like as it starts like moving through and you get more going on. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and we'll update those building projects and program development online on Facebook. So if you're looking, it's EThOs at the Citadel on Tower Square Plaza, and so it's kind of long Facebook. But if you start typing in, the EThOs at the Citadel, which is the name of the building, then you'll find that Facebook, and we'll update it with pictures and some inspirational
Cool.
stuff. And if anybody has questions and want to know, hey, when can I come in? When can I take a tour? That'd be great. We'd love to show it to you.
That's
Yeah, I
so
love it.
exciting. Well, I'm going to make sure we update all the captions, so I have everything tagged and everyone can just click that real easily. But Russell, thank you so much again. I've really been looking forward to this conversation, and it did not disappoint. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. There's a full moon tonight, and I thought it might get a little crazy, but I think we did okay.
I think so.
Okay,
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
We got that abundant mindset going on.
There you
tonight.
go. You guys have a
All
good
right.
night. Thank you so
You
much.
too. It was good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you. Take care.
Bye.